Now, when I first purchased this knife, I was so initially impressed that of the limited space and weight I had on a recent backpacking trip up in Wyoming, I decided to take this Scandi version of the ODENWOLF W series with me as my dedicated bushcraft knife. And as myself and the crew began to use it around camp, I was so impressed and we saw so much use with it that when I got back, I decided to purchase the full flat grind version of the same design. Well, welcome back everyone to another blade review here at Gideonstactical. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Aaron, and today we're gonna be putting these high value blades head to head because I paid $35 for this version, I paid $35 for this version, and I gotta say, overall, I am really impressed with the design. There are a few things, that I'm like, I don't really like that, so I'm gonna unpack that with you guys as well as we really put these blades through their paces, discovering what they're capable of and what their limiting factors are in, because when you find a blade that is so capable at such a low cost, it gets my juices flowing. I get excited, I get pumped. So throughout the video, if you are interested in scoring yourself one of these to start putting through the paces yourself, I will have links to my Amazon store below. But as we get into it, the first thing that really stood out to me is that they both have 4.5-inch long blade lengths, so that kind of like perfect for camp. Then at a stock thickness each of 1/8 of an inch thick, so they are quick in hand, they're fast, they're slicey, great for a belt knife. Not a survival knife, I wouldn't call them that. They only weigh like 5.5 ounces before the sheath. So they're quick, they're nimble, they're thin, they're fast, great for carving and whittling, but I wouldn't be doing, like Paul Bunyan tree splitting and, fallen trees and doing that type of stuff. Now, the other thing that they both have in common is that they have 90-degree spines, so easily can throw sparks and get the fire going. Another just excellent factor that you don't have to like worry about any of that stuff. And they both have D2 steel rock weld at 60 on the Rockwell scale. Now we're gonna get into that in just a moment because we're gonna do some hard, high impacting, particularly on the Scandi, because I've had catastrophic failures before with D2 on Scandi grind. So we'll look at that one first, and it's gonna have that dual coating, kind of like a smoke wash and then an exposed grind right there. I was really impressed back up at Wyoming with all of the carving. Just engages with wood right away, feather sticking like a dream. Obviously, if you're doing like notching, you want to remove a lot of wood and the meat on the wood quickly for like a spear point, and just doing a lot of like fine work around camp, and you want to practice your bushcrafting skills, triggers, traps, those type of things. The Scandi is absolutely the way to go. It will not be a good tool for like a camp kitchen if you do a lot of camp, prep, food prep. Not ideal for that. We could argue, depending on utility, whether or not it's really the right grind, but for the woods crafting fine work, totally, did what I would expect. Now in a minute, we're gonna look at like batoning, chopping, and impact testing and see how that grind holds up. Now on the other side, the full flat, as soon as I got that, I was like, man, it just, the sweep, it's not a trailing point, maybe it is. I wouldn't say it's a trailing point, but man, it almost looks like that with full flat grind. I mean, obviously like food prep, lots of slicing, it's gonna do really good with those type of cuts. That type of sweeping cut especially, it's gonna do really well. And I was impressed with the carving as well. Now it's gonna take longer and you have to put more pressure on the spine to do like a notch and get the wood out for like a notch, but for feather sticking, if you like doing that and that helps you with getting a fire going, this engaged with the wood really easily, and I was also pleased with how fine I could get the curls when I was doing feather sticking as well. So in that regard, I was also impressed. Now, because it's only 1/8 of an inch thick and a very high grind, we got to find out edge stability when we do batoning and those harder tasks. Now, before we find out what type of damage will ensue, I do invite you guys to like and subscribe and click that little thing popping up right now so that you can be notified every week when I put up new content. When you hit that like button, it really does help us go up in the rankings and recommendations. And it is truly you guys, the viewers, in partnership with our regular sponsors, that help me to buy gear and equipment like this, get out, test it, show you pros and cons so you make wise choices on whether or not the piece of tool or equipment is worth putting in rotation or not. And I do want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor, which is Zoleo and their satellite communication device. And what's really exciting is that Zoleo is offering a deal going on through September 13th where you can get $50 off the device itself, plus a free 6-month Gaia GPS premium membership. This will allow you to have access to offline maps and navigation so that you can explore with confidence. And for over 3 years now, my Zoleo has been a constant companion on all of my outdoor adventures because it gives me streamlined global messaging through the Iridium satellite network. It is also the fact that I have the progressive SOS button. I can push that button and immediately let my GPS coordinates be known with first responders worldwide, and I can communicate with them and let them know what the emergency is so they're better prepared when they arrive on location. So we've decided to bushwhack from some lakes that we found. No trail. Good thing I got Zoleo. And with subscription plans to fit in any budget, it just makes sense to have a device like this, making your adventures just that much more enjoyable and giving you extra peace of mind. So I'll have a link popping up right here over to the Zoleo website, as well as in the description box below this video, so that you can start exploring with confidence. Now, when it came to high impact testing, I was not holding my breath. I was like, something's gonna go wrong with one of these two knives. You know, I can only assume D2 made in China. I couldn't find anywhere where it said where the knife is made. The company is actually a German-based company. You even get like a little card from, I believe Philippe is the founder of the company. I mean, so that's cool, but I mean, if it's made in Germany, I would assume they'd be bragging about it like crazy, so I can only assume Chinese D2. Batoning. Used the full flat grind version first, got into a knot, kind of like overestimated the wood, which sometimes happens when you baton, and flexed the heck out of this blade. At that, we're gonna find out how good this D2 is here. Wow. Wow. I am not seeing any bending on that blade, guys. I was blown away. I thought for sure something like by the time I get through this, it's gonna be bent, it's gonna have a wave in the edge, something. Zero. Guys, this is the knife. I cannot find a wave on the edge and I cannot find a wave on the grind, and the blade is perfectly straight. I mean, whatever they're doing with that 60 Rockwell on the D2, wow, is that impressive. Now, I did the same thing with the Scandi, and we've seen catastrophic failures on a Flissa Scandi knife that I batoned and just did some basic stuff, and it just like destroyed the edge. So I was kind of expecting the same thing with this. Pounded right through that log, no problem. Did a bunch of batoning with it, zero issues. We did the paper test, sliced right through. So then we moved on to the 2x4 to do chopping. Again, light tools. You can delimb some stuff like as thick as your pinky. Otherwise, you're not really gonna enjoy chopping. But did 20 strikes, and the Scandi, same thing. No issues, no problems. Really just flew right through it and didn't have a problem and didn't cause any damage to the edge. Same thing on the full flat. So these blades right here that we're looking at, after all that impact testing, are showing no signs of even needing to be resharpened. That's pretty impressive, particularly at that price point. Now, these both have pretty fine tips right down there. So at the end of the video, we are going to do our 5-strike prying 2x4 test. So stick around for that. I don't know what's going to happen when we get to that point. Now, let's go ahead and jump back to the Blade Boot Camp back at the homestead and finalize a few aspects, including some areas where I'm not as impressed. Now, I do have an issue with the handles. Now, the handles are identical with the full flat or with the Scandi, and what I really like is the girth at 0.82, so nice and thick, rounded everywhere. There's no weird angled transitions. So when I engage, it didn't seem too narrow on the neck there. My finger didn't seem to float. They have put a lot of texture with the logo right there, the ODENWOLF, on the sides and left the top and bottom slick. That is excellent, giving you a good tactile grip. But a lot of times we've seen other knives that have a lot of like tactile points up here. And when you push bear down, it can be uncomfortable. This, they thought through that and really rounded it. So the engineering and the thought process behind the tool, I'm really impressed with. Then we have a little bit of a splitting of your index right there, and then your other 3 fingers, boom, grip right there. Now it is full tank construction all the way through without a lot of tapering, which is excellent. So the durability is absolutely there. Coming back to the lanyard, that's the one issue that I have. So I got plenty of real estate out the back right there, which is good. But this lanyard, one, it just looks awkward. I don't like the style of knives that have an exposed upward lanyard hole like that. And it never helps the ergonomics. It may not hurt that much, but it never helps to have exposed like metal tangs on top or bottom, usually for high impact. When I started to do chopping, now it's a light knife, so you're not gonna do much, but if you had to hack, your leverage point is right there. So the tang is just impacting and causing some pain. And I mean, if it was a massive blade, it'd be really bad, but it's noticeable, but it's not the end of the world when you do that, but it is something that I notice. And then when I did batoning as well, you're holding the knife, you're pounding down, it's sending energy up into your hand. So you have this exposed tang, bam, 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 hitting into your palm or into your palm right there, and just not comfortable, not necessary, doesn't really help the aesthetics. And if anything, creates hot spots in high impact work. So that is where the one faulty side of the ergonomics are, but for carving, whittling, cutting, food prep, all of that, stabbing and piercing, good ergonomics that locks you in, absorbs shock, and really gives you some tactile feel. Check it out. We have polymer sheaths, ambidextrous, so the full flat grind version can go in the green one, the Scandi can go in the black one, because it's really cut and molded for the Scandi, and the full flat can just fit in there, meaning the Scandi is quieter. The full flat does tend to slap around, but they are completely interchangeable. They do have good tension. I mean, they're not gonna come out, and that's with or without the little nylon button strap right there. And they have the removable button strap on the back there, so you can put it on your belt without taking your belt off. And these little, I mean, these plates alone, this little attachment, I'm gonna steal for other knives when I want. They really did an excellent job with these sheaths and really accentuate the value of these tools. All right, now to our dreaded tip test in the 2x4 of doom. We're gonna start with the Scandi. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so the thicker tipped Scandi, no problems, what I can see there, no damage. We definitely have that finer tip on the full flat. I'll be stunned if this survives. 1, 2, 3, 4, there it went, 5. On the 5th one, broke the tip on the FFG. Well, not that surprising that the Scandi held up without issue, and that really thin, 1/8 of an inch thick, tapering blade would snap off with that type of piercing and then cranking side to side. Straight on piercing, I mean, it went all the way to the last one before it finally gave out. Does that mean that the FFG is a bad design? Absolutely not. It just proves you need to know the strengths and limitations of whatever grind and design you're using in your knives. For me personally, if I was gonna start all over again and just buy one, I would stick with the Scandi. I just like the added durability that I'm seeing and the way it just performs. I really am connecting with that particular model, but both are awesome in their own right. I'm blown away. I'm gonna get my hands on some more ODENWOLF designs in the future to see how they perform, because kind of out of left field, I was just stunned by the value to performance. But leave a comment below, particularly if you own one of these, how have they been performing for you over the long haul? Always appreciate your guys' feedback. Look forward to seeing all of your guys' comments. Check out the other video if you haven't yet, and subscribe. And until next time, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and I'll see you out there.